Why not Sprinter van, cargo van drivers demand for $2 a mile in today's market? Why not? Let's talk about that on this segment of the Gig Geezer. So I am out on a Saturday evening, something I have not done in months and Sundays. It is September 27, 2025. The reason why I'm out here is because I need some spare change. I need some quick spare change because something I did today earlier took all my loose money that I had kind of set up for the rest of the weekend and the beginning of the week. So I'm recouping some money that to cover an unexpected expense. But that's my fucking problem, not yours. So the topic, the teaser, is about why not Sprinter van, cargo van owners demand $2 a mile for brokered opportunities. Why not? I'm not saying that drivers shouldn't. If anybody's followed Gig Geezer segments in the past, the Gig Geezer archive, you'll see that I've talked about this a lot. I've talked about dumbass, thirsty motherfuckers who mess things up for everybody. But the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I happen to peruse a Facebook group that is about Sprinter van, cargo van drivers, and they mostly do over the road work. But yet, the topic is still applicable because you've got people out there thinking that $1 a mile is the standard. The $1 a mile is the thing that they should at least ask for. And you'll never hear me say that. I'm all about getting as much money as you fucking can. As much as they're willing to pay, that's what you should get. But I'm also going to say this within reason, and having some understanding of the market conditions. So that said, so what was said was that drivers should seek $2 a mile, especially if they're doing over the road work, and if you want, and that is if you want to make profit. He says $1 a mile basically just kind of keeps you going. It may cover expenses, but you're not making any money. And then this is where the discussion kind of takes on its life. There are many posts. In fact, I commented a couple of times as well. But there were already others who were commenting similar to me. But then you had many others who didn't. And that's where I want to give you kind of a full spectrum of replies. Well, the first person who spoke along similar lines as I would said, hey, learn the lane, know your market, and be firm and respectful. Of course, there were some folk who immediately going to be cynics, and I'm being nice by saying cynics, by saying, hey, post some of your receipts. That's what one person said. Then another person said, what market do you live in? And then another person said, show us the receipts of your most recent $2 a mile over the road run as a receipt. Okay, I get that. You got some folk who post anything and everything, and so hey, let's have a little bit of verification of what you did. No big deal. But then another person said, no one's going to pay that right now. So those are your timid people. Apparently they've been laughed at by brokers. Apparently they have gone along with the brokers game of begging for 80, 90 cent a mile, maybe accepting 75 cent a mile, and they're jumping up and down, running the carpets and testifying whenever they appear in church about getting $1 a mile or maybe $1.25 a mile. Then again, I may be out of touch. All right, I may be out of touch because I don't do exclusively over the road. But when I do negotiate for brokered opportunities, as I have shown, particularly since 2024 and at the end of 2023, I have shown more than my share of receipts in which I've commanded $2 a mile or more. That's right. Now, what I did for the sake of argument on that post, I did not show picture receipts, but I gave listing of my last 7 brokered opportunities. and 6 of the 7 paid $2 a mile or more. The one that didn't, which was last week on this segment of the Gig Geezer, it paid $1.47 a mile. And I admit that, hey, on that one, if you just check out the segment of the Gig Geezer, I'm like, man, I really wanted to run, but I also said that I'd made up for some of the money that I missed out, having earned some money prior to. So it was a matter of me trying to get them to come up to a dollar amount that I guess you say we all agreed with, and that was the one that it turned out to be $1.47 a mile. Because initially, it wasn't even $1 a mile what they're looking for, and then when they came back out, they're talking about like $1.10, $1.15 a mile. That's what amount. So for I'm not even saying that's a victory. That was kind of a makeup call that day. But the last one that I did, which I completed yesterday, that one paid just over $2 a mile. Just over $2 a mile. It reminded me of as I described in this last segment, the Gig Geezer. It reminded me of a dedicated run that I had agreed to with the same broker. Dollar amount is $25 less, but it was a very similar run. I think the difference and the reason why it didn't come up for me as a right of first refusal, because it was a van run and not a box truck run. So a lot of the runs that I get, I've gotten what box trucks get. So it's like, hey, whatever I can get, whatever the most I can get, and if it's a box truck run and I can fit it in a van, that's what I do too. So I'm always trying to maximize, and I'm always trying to maximize. I'll just leave it at that. So then, what I did respond in that post, I said companies are out. Some person asked, well, where are the companies? I said, well, the companies are out there. You have to be reasonable yet resolute. You also have to be willing to pass, even if the dollar amount difference is $25. You run a business, not a charity. And again, I was being nice. I was not being my typical. I was not talking my typical vituperative. I was trying to go along with the flow of the conversation and not really cause some panties to be tied up in a bunch, if you will. So then a couple asked, well, what company is paying $2 a mile? It's a struggle getting $1 a mile. Well, that sounds to me. I'm not going to say it's entirely a personal problem, but it does speak to a lot of folks' inability to demand the money that they're looking for. It seems as if in some ways they've given up and they've just gone along with things, and that's what these brokers are looking for people to do. And then another person asked, well, tell me where I need to sign up for rates like that. It's not about rates where you're signing up. One person said they're out there. It's the same people that you're probably dealing with. It's a matter of what you've been able to negotiate for. So I'm about to pick up my first delivery of the evening, and when I return, we'll resume the conversation. Okay, so that order was ready when I got there. Hey, I mean, shit, that's not bad for the first gig food order that I've done of the month. And probably at least since last month, but this being on one of the, this is actually, if memory serves me correct, this is actually the second order that I've done on this app all year. So that just goes to show you how few opportunities that I've pursued doing gig food delivery work. And it's not because I've talked down on it. And I've often said that it's one of my revenue options. It's not been a priority. In fact, what I've said over the past few years is that what I tried to do and what I've achieved is being less dependent, because 4 years ago and as late as 3 years ago, gig food delivery work accounted for upwards of 90% of the money that I earned, and I always realized that I was one delivery away from being deactivated. So if I were to end this segment of the Gig Geezer, there was one other comment that caught my attention, and that was a couple of folks were saying, hey, look, get you direct shippers, get you a direct relationship with the shipper, and then you can name your price. More than likely, then it's a matter of you maintaining that business relationship. Now, that's not something that I've been able to do on a consistent basis. I've had a few situations that were what I would call cash game type opportunities, but nothing set in stone with a direct shipper relationship. But that is something that I've given thought to. It's a matter of me making time to knock on the doors. And admittedly, that's not as strong of a suit of mine. It reminds me as an insurance agent when you're going out there knocking on the doors, trying to find business. And I just wasn't, again, it just wasn't my strong suit. I didn't like beating a pavement and burning miles trying to find money, knowing that I still have bills to take care of at the same time. So, you know, what you end up doing is you try to get your hands on what you can, and you're trying to build up of a cushion so that you could have time to do something like that. At least that's been my thinking. It may not be your thinking, but that's been my thinking. Again, when I was trying to find business as an insurance agent, what you try to do is you try to find opportunities, the softest lead opportunities, people who are warm leads, as if you will, people who really want to buy business, and hopefully you can connect with them. The problem with when you're starting out is that you're only going to get paid once a month, at least in property and casualty. You only get paid once a month, and so you've got to do all this basically broke for at least a month, and not everybody's in a position to withstand something like that. As in delivery and transport, they often talk about having a war chest of money, ideally like 6 months of money put back. Well, who has 20? Not everybody has $25,000 put back in reserve to try to withstand the first 6 months, or be in a position, be it cash and or leveraging, to have that type of access of funding to get through your first 6 months. I was in that position back in 2023. That's one of the things that helped me get through that first year in this van. But I'm also in a position where I can't take a day off to do that. I just don't, because I'm guilty of wanting to make money. That's what it amounts to. I'm guilty of wanting to make money. So therefore, I'm not as diligent about that. I should be. So, again, the question is, why not demand $2 a mile? You should. In my opinion, you should. God damn it, you should. That dollar mile shit, 85 cent a mile, 70 cent a mile shit, that's for the birds, man. You know, these brokers know that there are people the reason why the brokers are able to get by with that shit is because there are enough people out there that accept it. And if you accept it, that's what they're gonna try to keep pushing. It's as simple as that. When the market forces change to where they can't get drivers to move their shit, and in the process, that means they've got to pay the drivers, that's when you'll see the money collectively. So what you have you got a story here, you got a story there, and you got a story over there of people who are able to succeed doing this. There are people out there. It's just that you also have, for as many as those stories, you've got twice, maybe multiple times as many stories of people who are not succeeding. And that's what that is what's messing up this game as I see it. So that's all I have to share for this segment of the Gig Geezer. Hey, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment or in any other segment, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. And if you don't like the content that's been provided in this segment or in any other segment, you can always unsubscribe, or you can give me a thumbs down. I'm Inwood Lane. May your grind, may your hustle, may your business continue.